What's the most unforgivable thing a teacher ever did? I was 13 when I learned that sometimes the people meant to guide you can do the most damage. My 8th grade English teacher, Mrs. Lawrence, was someone everyone admired, charming in front of parents, respected by staff, and even adored by many students. But I wasn't one of her favorites, and she made that painfully clear from day one. I wasn't loud or rebellious, I was just quiet, average, and unfortunately, not the kind of student who stood out in a good way. One day, we had to do oral presentations, and I'd worked so hard on mine because public speaking terrified me. I practiced in front of the mirror, stayed up late rehearsing, even wrote my note cards with perfect little bullet points. But when it was my turn to speak, my anxiety took over. I stumbled a bit, my voice shook, and I lost my place. The class giggled, and I remember my face burning with shame. Instead of encouraging me or showing patience, Mrs. Lawrence rolled her eyes and said loud enough for the class to hear, "If you're not going to take this seriously, you might as well sit down." I froze. I wanted to disappear. That moment shattered me. I sat down without finishing, and she gave me a 0. I cried in the bathroom during lunch. That might sound small to some, but when you're 13 and trying your best, that kind of humiliation cuts deep. But it didn't stop there. A few weeks later, we had a parent-teacher conference. My mom sat across from Mrs. Lawrence, genuinely wanting to know how I was doing. And that woman looked my mother in the eye and said, "She's lazy. She lacks ambition. I honestly don't expect much from her." I remember the way my mom's face dropped, how she tried to smile politely while I sat there, completely numb, feeling like a failure in front of the person who loved me the most. I'd never seen my mom so disappointed, not in me, but in the person she had trusted to educate me. I went home that night and cried so hard my chest hurt. That one teacher planted a seed of self-doubt in me that took years to unlearn. I stopped raising my hand. I second-guessed every word I wrote. I convinced myself I was mediocre, unworthy, forgettable. And what made it truly unforgivable wasn't just the way she dismissed me, but the fact that she chose to break a child down when she could have built one up. A teacher holds a kind of power. Words from them don't just float away, they stick to your bones. And hers stuck to mine for years. It wasn't until college, when I had a professor who saw potential in me, that I started to rebuild my confidence. One day, that professor told me, "You've got a strong voice. You just need to trust it." I cried that night, not because of the compliment, but because it reminded me how long I'd been carrying someone else's cruelty like it was truth. I sometimes wonder how many kids Mrs. Lawrence belittled before me and after me, how many young minds she dimmed because it made her feel superior. That's what makes it unforgivable. She didn't just mark my grade, she marked my self-worth. And while I've healed, there's still a part of me that flinches when I speak in front of a crowd or share my ideas, a ghost of that girl who was told she'd never be enough. I forgive a lot of things. I believe people can change, learn, grow, but I'll never forgive an adult who uses their authority to crush a child's spirit. That kind of damage doesn't always show on the outside, but it lingers quietly, shaping the way we see ourselves for years to come.